Okay, Councilor Fletcher is here. We can start. Councilor Sachs, you were just here a minute ago. Jesus Murphy. Yeah. Okay, we've lost Councilor Sachs now. Let me just text her. Oh, all right, we can start. Thank you. So good morning. My name is Councilor Moyes. I am the chair of the Toronto and East York Community Council. Are we live? Okay, good. We have quorum. I am now calling meeting 20 to order. Today's meeting is being held by video conference and in person at City Hall in committee room number 1. The meeting is also being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. Although we are meeting in different locations today, the Toronto and East York Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. As a Caribbean Canadian, I am committed to continually acting in solidarity with our African, Caribbean, and Black communities seeking freedom and reproductive justice in light of the history and ongoing legacy of slavery that continues to impact our communities across Canada. As part of this commitment, I would also like to acknowledge that not all people came to these lands as migrants and settlers. Specifically, I wish to acknowledge those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. In support of the City of Toronto's ongoing efforts to confront anti-Black racism, I pay tribute to those ancestors of African, Caribbean, and Black origin and descent. If you are registered to speak at today's meeting, please listen for me to call your name. I will call speakers in the order they appear on the list. The list of speakers can be viewed online by visiting the Toronto and East York Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. Members, the City Clerk has provided all agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the Clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available for members if you need help with your devices. I also want to remind you to please submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at tycc@toronto.ca to help with motions. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you do have an interest, please raise your hand or unmute your mic and indicate the item number and the nature of the interest. Seeing none, may I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our meeting on January 14, 2025? Councilor Matlow, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Before we begin the agenda run through, may I have a motion to add, do you have new business?
Yeah, it's already turned on, so I just have first item.
May I have a motion to add new business items TE 20.45 to TE 20.51? Council Fletcher?
I'm assuming that includes.
We're still working on your item.
Yes, just to let everybody know somehow. I'm going to move that some way today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Items TE 20.1 to TE 20.13 and TE 20.18 to TE 20.22 are timed. So I'll begin the run through at item T 20.14. So we'll start the run through at 20.14. T 20.14. 1245 DuPont Street, Part Lot Control Exemption Application. Council Bravo,
Like to move the staff recommendations.
sorry, I didn't hear.
The staff recommendation.
A staff recommendation, okay. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 20.15, there's speakers on that item. So, no, that's my item, sorry. TE 20.15, amendment to item 2024 to T 13.5, 639 to 653 Young Street, official plan and zoning amendment application. 15, this is my item. I'm going to adopt staff recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.16, 481 and 483 Church Street, Inclusion and Heritage Registry. I'm going to adopt staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 20.17, 65 Hayward Avenue and 135 R Berkeley Street, inclusion on the Heritage Registry.
Move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 20, nope, that's a timed item. TE 20.23, encroachment appeal, 525 Richmond Street West, proposed decorative fencing.
I have.
Yep.
Deputy
Go ahead,
Mayor
Councilor
Sylvester,
Fletcher.
move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.24, encroachment appeal, 495 to 517 Wellington Street West.
Move to defer to the next meeting, please.
We need a motion for
Defer
that?
to the next meeting.
Okay, motion to defer to next meeting. All opposed? Carried. T 20.25, 750 Spillane Avenue encroachment appeals. Councilor Sachs.
I move the staff recommendations.
Opposed? Carried. T 20.26, 10 to 32 Raglan Avenue construction staging area. Councilor Matla.
I'm moving the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.27, 55 Eastern Avenue, construction staging area. I have an amendment. Put it on the screen, please.
What number are we on, 25?
27. Just waiting for it to come up. Here it is. I'm moving those amendments. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. As amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. It's just regular amendments for staging. T 20.28. 176 to 178 Front Street East and 33 Sherburne Street, staging area. I'm going to move, adopt staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 20.29, use of Nathan Phillips Square for various events, May 1st to September 30th, 2025.
Move staff recommendation.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.30, assumption of service reference plan 66R to 21894 Bastion Street, part of Grand Magazine Street and Sloping Sky Muse. Council Fletcher.
Defer to April.
It's May.
Oh, sorry, May? Okay, sorry, yes, defer to May, I'm
All
sorry.
those in favor, referral? Opposed? Carried. T 20.31, road alteration King Street East at George Street. I'm going to adopt staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.32, Ontario Honda Dealers Indy Toronto Race 2025 temporary street closures.
Hold, please.
Going to hold this item? Okay. T 20.33, accessible parking spaces. I'm going to adopt staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.34, accessible parking spaces, February 2025. Councilor, who's here? Matlow?
Sure.
Okay. Moving staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.35, various developments to be excluded from permit parking in the Toronto and East York Community Council area. Council Sachs.
Move the staff recommendations.
Opposed? Carried. T 20.35, various developments to be excluded from permit parking in the Toronto and East York Community Council area.
Didn't we just do 35?
This is 36. This is 36. You want to move it?
Sure.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.37, temporary traffic and parking amendments, Lakeshore Boulevard, West Stadium Road, and Erin Quay. Council Fletcher?
Move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.38, temporary left turn prohibition, Elm Street at Yonge Street. Council Sachs?
Recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.39, traffic control signals and traffic regulations, Yonge Street and Delisle Avenue, private driveway. Council Matlow?
I think you're referring to Delisle.
Delisle, yes.
Understandable, though. Does the clerk have the amendment?
We are working on that.
So
Yeah, we're working on that.
they're working on it.
Okay, so we'll hold it down then.
So we'll hold it. We'll hold. Okay. T 20.40, transit priority measures to support streetcar service diversion during King Street and Church Street intersection closures.
Can I move that without recommendation to council, please?
Yes.
But I would like to ask, there's a site visit for the section east of Church Street as part of the, between now and council.
Okay, so we're gonna move this without recommendation to
Yes,
council.
but your transportation staff.
Yeah,
that's
all
what
those
I
in
would-
favor? Thank you. All those in favor, opposed, carried. T 20.41, additional speed hump, Willard Avenue. So we're gonna hold that for Council Perks. T 20.42, additional speed hump, Windermere Avenue, will hold for Council Perks. T 20.43, there's speakers there. T 20.44, implementing community plan to pedestrianize and segment of Coiler Street with Section 37 funds. Councilor Sachs,
I move the staff recommendations.
you have a motion?
Oh, sorry, I do have a motion. Thank you so much, Catherine. Catherine, you're a lifesaver. I have a motion. My motion is to allow the construction vehicles serving the construction site to access the construction site through this area.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, carried, as
How
amended?
many
All-
construction sites is
As
that?
amended, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 20.45, East Bayfront Community Recreation Center naming. Councilor Fletcher. 45.
That's brand new, so I'm going to move the recommendations in the letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 20.46, making necessary sidewalk adjustments on Austin Terrace. Councilor Matlow.
I move my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 20.47, retaining the crossing guard at the intersection of Oral Parkway and Gormley Avenue. Councilor Matlow.
I move my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 20.48, parking amendment, no stopping anytime on Jarvis Street and Lower Jarvis Street. 48, that's mine. Adopting my recommendation in my letter. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 20.49, rescinding westbound right turn prohibition Shooter Street. I'm moving the recommendations in my letter. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 20.50, accessible loading zone, Confund Crescent. Councillor Bradford.
Thanks,
No,
Mr. Chair.
that's not me. That's Councillor Mumford, right?
What is that? Councillor Bradford.
You said Fletcher, I'm sorry. I'm hearing things.
It's all good. Just like to move the recommendations in my letter, please.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 20.51, reopening of item T 17.55, amendment of permit parking hours of operation. Okay, let's, Council Bradford, move to reopen. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. And then read it out. Okay. Amendment of permit parking hours of operation on Nursewood Road, parking permit area 9D. All those, Council Bradford, move it.
Move the recommendations in my letter, please.
In
Thank you.
favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. And that's the rundown. We're going to go back to the top of the agenda. Number 1, T 20.1, naming of existing public lanes south of Lippin Avenue extending between Lansdowne Avenue and Ward Street. Councilor Bravo.
Yes, I'd like to move the staff recommendations.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 20.2, naming of an existing public lane north of Danforth Avenue extending easterly from Gled Hill Avenue. Councilor Bradford.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Meant to hold the East Bayfront naming, my problem, but we'll come back to that.
Sorry, what number are you talking?
Oh, the one we just did.
Oh.
I'm sorry. We'll do it at the end. I made a mistake on the East Bayfront, so we'll have to that's fine. We're good.
Okay, let's just try and get through this. Okay. Where was I? Item 2, Councilor Bradford.
Thanks very much. I'd like to move the recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 20.3, naming of existing public lane south of Danforth Avenue, extending between West Lynn Avenue and Aldridge Avenue. Councilor Bradford.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move the recommendations to name the laneway Allison McMurray Lane.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 20.4, permanent closures of the public laneway between 10A Eastern Avenue and 16 Eastern Avenue. I'm going to adopt staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed, carried.
Councilor Fletcher to read when it's
45?
East Bay French you mentioned.
Okay. Okay, Councilor Fletcher, you want to reopen item 20.45?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, no.
Which,
The new business item, which doesn't have a number.
yes, that's new
Yes.
business. East
Yes,
Bayfront?
just to reopen that. I think Deputy Mayor would like
Okay.
to be here for that, so thank you very
Okay,
much.
so Councilor Fletcher moves to reopen.
Oh, and then hold it.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Goes carried and holds. Okay. We're done. We're a little ahead of schedule. The next item is 10 a.m. So,
Deal with 20.6 anyway. I'm going to need to hold it down. I've got some things to do.
You want to do a check-in on 3.9, see if, no, still work in progress? Okay.
The Deputy Mayor's asked to have a couple held anyway, if I could just ask for that.
the ones that we've already passed?
No, new ones that we're coming up to.
What item are you talking about?
20, I don't think we dealt with 20.5 yet, so holding that. I don't think there's a speaker on that. Oh, there is a speaker on that, so that's fine.
Yeah, and again, it's also at 10 a.m., so we'll have to wait.
Oh, what time is it? 1 minute, 2.
Yeah, we
Okay.
just-
You're very strict. But we have quorum now, don't we? Yes.
We do.
Pardon? I have Maxwell Smart. While we're just here, I just think we should recognize the fact that we have our former deputy mayor with us this morning, Anna Bailau. It's very nice to see you here in the committee room. Anna.
Yes, Council,
Thank
yes. Didn't see you there.
Okay, just need a second.
Is it 10 o'clock yet?
Nope, almost, a minute, almost there. If you want to go by the clock in the room, you can say it's 10 o'clock. Speakers on.
There you go. Go by that clock. Okay, we can resume. It's 10 o'clock.
Oh, phew.
According to the clock on the wall, not on my
Your
watch.
clock is sitting right to your right. That's your new clock.
So Council Fletcher, you wanted to hold item T 20.5?
Yes, but there appears to be a speaker on that.
There
picture.
is.
So
You said you
that's
want-
being held anyway.
Yeah, so I will hold that down.
Hold until the counselor gets here, so. yes,
Okay.
thank you.
T 20.6, Councilor Sachs, you wanted to hold that down as well, you said? Again, there's speakers on those items as well, just so you know. T 20.7, 522 University Avenue zoning bylaw amendment application, decision report. Councilor Sachs?
Yes, I'm deferring this to the next meeting, please.
Defer to next meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And the same with the next item, which goes
T
with it.
20.8, 55 University Avenue, alterations to and demolition of heritage attributes at the designated property under Section 33 and 34 of the Ontario Heritage Act, and authority to enter into heritage easement agreement. Councilor Sachs?
Yes, we're going to defer it to the next meeting. Eventually, the owner will agree to meet with me.
Okay, we're going to defer to the next meeting. It's on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 20.9, 1212 to 1220 Yonge Street zoning bylaw amendment application decision report. We have speakers on this item. Kathy McDonald, are you here? Kathy McDonald, are you here? Okay, seeing no Kathy McDonald. Councilor Bradford, item, sorry. Councilor Sachs, so Councilor Matlow. I lost my place there for a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's urgent. Ask him to come over.
Anyone else want to speak on item number 20.9? Seeing none, okay. Councilor Matlow, how would like to deal with item number 9?
The reason why Councillor Sachs and I were discussing it because it's on kind of near the border of our wards. So we just had a conversation. We have both heard from residents in the local community, both in Deer Park and Summerhill, who want an opportunity for some proper consultation, which we obviously want to ensure that they have that opportunity. So I'm going to move to defer it for one cycle to ensure that that happens.
Any motion for that? Okay. Defer to the next
That's correct.
council meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.10, 1400 to 1408 and 1410 Victoria Park Avenue, zoning bylaw amendment application. We have speakers on this item. Fred Wong, are you here? Mr. Fred Wong?
No, none of this is in.
Online? Okay.
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can. If you have 5 minutes, go ahead.
Okay, hello, my name is Fred Wong. I'm a resident right along Victoria Park. My comment is about the building height. The proposed 26-story for one of the north side buildings and 23-story for one of the south side buildings are, in my opinion, way too tall in consideration of other residential buildings in the area. It overwhelms the surrounding low-rise neighborhood, and most residential buildings in the area only extends upward of at most 10 stories high. And even new development proposals that now have council approvals, like the ones at 1460 Victoria Park Avenue and 1861 O'Connor Drive, are only 9-story talls. And those ones are actually closer to commercial areas where it'd be apt to be taller compared to the more residential area nested in this application. I've also submitted this comment in written form and included a table in that for more examples. And next, I have a comment regarding the application's transportation impact study. It's my understanding that there won't be any changes to the adjacent stretch of Victoria Park Avenue. I think that's a big mistake. I've lived here for over 25 years, and I've seen so many accidents and collisions there, and how that part of Victoria Park Avenue really struggles when there are upstream issues at its Eglinton intersection. And while I understand that there will be changes to that intersection as part of the Golden Mile secondary plan, to my knowledge, there aren't any planned improvements noted in this application's document for this particular segment of Victoria Park Avenue. And I also believe that the transportation impact study is underestimating, hasn't properly projected the impact and traffic that would arise from the commercial space units and aspects proposed as part of this development. And then last is, according to the Sun Shadow Study, residences across the street on Victoria Park Avenue would be covered in shade starting from 3 p.m. in both spring and summer. My family gardens a lot, and so do our neighbors, and this reduction in sunlight would make gardening really difficult, if not outright kill some of the plants. And for me personally, I've got 2 cherry trees that would be unable to grow in such an environment, as they usually require 8 hours of full sunlight. That's all the comments I had. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, thank you for coming in today. Councillor Bradford.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. I have a motion here to secure net new affordable rental units for 99 years above and beyond the CBC contribution. So we're going to put that towards those affordable rental units, and the applicant, was very helpful in those conversations to do even more on this. It's something I've been doing across the board in my ward with all of the new applications that are coming forward, pushing for more net affordable units, and want to thank staff for their help in SEPA and city planning and legal for working on the language on this, and of course to the applicant as well for working together to deliver those affordable units.
All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Carried. As amended, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.11, 4262 Spadina Avenue and 378 Wellington Street West, official plan zoning bylaw amendment application. Councillor Fletcher.
Sorry, we're holding that.
Number 11.
11, holding.
Hold.
Yep.
T 20.12, 46 and 58 Spadina Avenue and 378 Wellington Street West, alterations to and demolition of building and heritage properties designated under Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act. Councillor Fletcher.
That is to move staff recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 20.13, 110 to 112 Adelaide Street East and 85 Lombard Street zoning bylaw amendment application. I'm going to adopt staff's recommendation on this item. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE.
We're early.
Oh. Oh my goodness.
So I don't know if you want to recess and then come back.
1 second. Any of those motions ready? We're going to take a recess to 10:30. We're ahead of schedule on the agenda here, but please come back in time so we could leave at a reasonable time. Yes. Please. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I see that there's one other item that I need to add that hasn't been added yet. I will send it to the clerk now.
They're working on a number of items that's being added right now. I try my best to get councilors to actually submit these things in advance.
I know it only came to me yesterday afternoon, and I was in an AGO meeting all yesterday afternoon, so anyway.
You know, Councilor Matlow has a motion. And TE 20.39, traffic control signals and traffic regulations, Young Street and Delisle Avenue.
Well done. Well done.
Private lane driveway.
Yeah, so my understanding is that this is a traffic signal that was supported by city staff. It's a warranted traffic signal that city staff approved through site plan. So that's why it's here before us today. I want to make sure, though, that we mitigate any infiltration into the neighborhoods and address the concerns that residents have brought to us.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. As amended, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. And there was a bit of confusion for item 40. We heard that 20.40 transit priority measures to support streetcar service diversions during King Street East and Church Street intersections closures. I heard to move to council without recommendations, but our clerks heard something differently. So just for the record, we're going to reopen. Councilor Fletcher will move that. All those in favor of reopening? And I will move that we move this item to council without recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay.
Still with the proviso for the site visit that was to take place between now and then.
If it's in the motion, it will happen.
In the motion, but I think everybody hears it.
Okay. TE 20.18, residential demolition applications at 289 to 291 and 293 to 295 Beloil Street. Councilor Matlow. You have the most difficult names in your ward. I can never pronounce. 18.
We have three options.
Yes.
There are three options.
And by the way, colloquially, people refer to it as Beloil. I know in Britain, it's, I think, Belial, but it's an argument locally as well.
Which we will not have here today.
Just providing you a little context. So I am going to move to approve with the conditions.
I think there are three options. So,
That's one of them.
okay, that's one of them. Okay, do we need to put it on the screen? Or it's fine? There we go. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is T 20.19, 86 Merrick Street, applications to remove a private tree. We do have a speaker on this item. Stephanie Paquette, are you here? Online?
We wanted to hold this for Council Parks because he's not here.
We are, sorry, we're gonna hold this for Council Perks because he's not here right now. Hopefully be here shortly. T 20.20. Sorry. 60 Roxborough Drive, application to remove a tree. We have speakers on this item. Blake Tubby, online. Blake Tubby.
Yes, I'm here.
You have 5 minutes, go ahead.
Thank you for taking the time to hear us out this morning. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, although if I could share the screen, would that be possible?
Yes, you have access to that. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So our application is to remove a Japanese maple tree that resides in front of the house right now, which creates a dangerous situation for the homeowners, as they're not able to enter and exit their property properly and safely. The Japanese maple is a non-native tree. It's an invasive species, and it's also not considered a canopy tree. But I want to speak more to the sort of the safety of the issue. The tree causes blocked visibility of the street, which causes dangerous entrance and exit to the property. And it also does contravene a bylaw on restrictions on fences, which creates a dangerous situation for vision splay when entering and exiting the property, as you can see by how the homeowners currently have to park their vehicles. Also, there is street parking allowance on the opposite side of the street, which creates an extremely challenging way to enter and exit because it is a tight street as it is. And so there's parking available on the other side of the street, as well as there is an adjoining neighbor here who shares their driveway with them with a shared right of way. And it becomes challenging for both neighbors to park safely, as well as to enter and exit the property because of the tight street restrictions. Also, we have an incident of extreme dangerous driving, as sort of seen by the video. I hope this sort of shows up. So this is right in front of their property. That this accident happened just last year, where this street has become quite a thoroughfare.
Mr. Blake, we're actually not seeing your presentation. We're just seeing your email, I believe.
Oh goodness.
And you have 2.5 minutes left.
I'm not sure why this is not working. Are you seeing this? Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Are you seeing it now? I'm not sure why this is not showing up. I really apologize. There is. Okay. This is. Sorry. Can you see this now?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Sorry. So sorry, I'm going to run through that again. Here's the Japanese maple in question residing in front of the house, which creates a dangerous condition of entering and exiting the property, as you can see by the photos represented in this slide. There's parking on the other side of the street. It creates a very challenging and dangerous entry and exit from the property. This was the video in question where drivers are dangerously coming down the roadway, and because of the tight street, are creating an extremely dangerous condition for my clients. There are precedents for traffic calming measures on Roxborough Drive that are being brought forward right now through Ms. Sachs, as well as there's a lot of community support. There is another speaker today, Wendy Mandelbaum, who is there, who is also going to attest to the dangerous nature of the street. And all we're doing is we're just asking for the removal of a Japanese maple tree, which will allow my clients to be able to enter and exit the property safely. We have reached out to Councillor Diane Sachs, who is in presence today, as well as Police Officer Adam Campbell, who has also brought it to the city's attention, as well as the neighbor Wendy, who's also going to be speaking today. The proposal is for a new landscape solution, which will allow us to align the driveway with the garage, so that the homeowners can enter and exit the property safely, as well as removing the vegetation that currently blocks any vision splay from them to be able to get in and out of their property. We will be keeping all plantings low in order to not ruin any of their vision splay and safe exit and entry to the property, as well as reclaiming green space in the current right of way in order to be in compliance with the hardscape, softscape bylaws that exist in the city. We are also planning on replanting native specimen trees on the property as part of our tree replacement plan, or tree replacement in lieu of removal of the Japanese maple tree, as you can see in my...
Sorry, you had time, sir.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions with the applicant? Councillor Sachs, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to confirm, you were offered the opportunity to defer this matter to next month so that your client could meet with me if they wished. Do you wish to defer the item, or do you wish us to decide it today?
Unfortunately, my client had a death in the family and is away at the moment, and so they were unable to attend today. She has asked that Deborah has asked that I speak in her stead.
Yes, but do you want us to decide today, or do you want a month's adjournment for her
As
to
you
meet
can
with
see,
me?
we
Staff
are hoping for
staff
adjournment
asked you in
today.
advance this morning. Yeah. Do you want a deferral or not? Please be clear.
We do not want a deferral.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker is Wendy Mandelbaum. Okay. You have 5 minutes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm a long-term resident of Roxborough Drive, about 30 years, so I've seen a lot of changes on the street, and I'd like to thank Ms. Sachs for mentioning our street in your recent newsletter. We have a light that's been put at the end of our street that allows turning onto Mount Pleasant, and it's also changed the pattern of traffic that's coming on the street, because I think apps are actually recommending our street as a cut-through. So there's some unusual things about Roxborough Drive. There are a lot of blind spots. Further on the west end of the street, we have a turnabout where people sort of get lost in if they don't know that oncoming traffic will be so close. But also at the bottom of the street, we're part of the green belt. So we get a lot of people coming to visit, to walk their dogs. And right about where this neighbor of mine is on 60, it bottlenecks because all the cars have to wait for the next car to come. And it's like threading a needle trying to get out of that driveway and see clearly. We do feel that there are safety issues on the street just walking our dogs. And today people are distracted. They're not patient. They're not always obliging or polite. And we've experienced that. So this removal of the tree is sad for us to lose any trees, but in this condition, we really feel that it's a safety issue more than the aesthetic of the trees, and the large trees that we have generally don't cause an obstruction, but this is visually an obstruction to be able to exit or even enter that driveway.
Okay, question. Certainly we know that cut-through traffic is an absolute plague across my entire ward, and the apps make it much, much worse. Is this a situation where some on-street parking removal would improve sightlines and safety?
General parking removal?
Yeah, on-street. So we
I
have,
see.
right, because that's one of the problems for people backing out of a driveway is having to thread through existing cars that are parked on the street. If we is this a situation where the bottleneck and the safety issue could be made better by removing some of the street parking or adjusting it?
I think the street parking is further towards the park where the green belt is, not necessarily always in front of 60. So I think it's actually the way a new house has been built, and it's perpendicular to that driveway. So there's a whole triangulation going on just in that spot that's not just because of parking.
Okay. All right. Well, clearly there's more questions to ask in this area. Thank you very much.
Okay, there's any other speakers on this item? Seeing none, Councillor Sachs.
Yes, I'm going to move the staff recommendations. I don't think it's appropriate to remove the tree, but there clearly is more work to be done in terms of reviewing safety on this street, and I will be asking transportation to take a look at whether we should be adjusting parking requirements so that there is visibility for the residents and for people driving through. So I'm going to be moving the staff recommendations. And Mr. Lafredi, I'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
T 20.21, 158 Morse Street, application to remove a private tree. We do have some speakers on this item.
I am going to, before they speak, oh, you're here. Okay, I was going to defer that for a month, but I will after she speaks. Thank
You're
you.
going to defer this for a month?
Yes, till
Okay,
April.
So there are two speakers on this item, Amelia Myers and Matthew Charell. Did you want to come back next month or want to speak of this item now? It's up to you.
I'm going to defer this for until April, so. The
Made today.
decision. So
We'll-
you
we
can
will-
speak now.
We
but
will
I
make a
am
decision
intending
next
to-
month when it comes to community council.
I don't think I don't understand.
We
Is
don't
there-
understand.
Yeah, we don't understand if there's is there an advantage to waiting a month? Oh, sorry.
So let me just, I'll
Not
repeat
going to
myself.
recommend anything today.
Oh, I see.
It will just go forward. This item will go forward to April, so you can speak to it today or you can speak to it in April. But we won't be making a decision today.
Oh, I see.
So there.
Why don't we just speak today?
We
We're here
can,
now.
we're happy to speak today.
Okay, that's your choice.
Share a picture here.
Yes, just place your item on the screen. Are you Amelia and Matthew?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead, 5 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for taking the time to listen to us today. We're here to speak about a tree. It's the ailanthus that you can see in that picture. This photo was taken 18 years ago when we moved into our house, and at the time it was the only tree on the property. And we'll walk you through some background. So when we took over the property, we had this one tree, and over the years, we've done a ton of landscaping in the backyard and really sort of embraced that tree, and worked all our landscaping around it. Over the past, and actually over that time, we've had arborists coming in every couple of years to help us prune the tree and keep it as healthy as possible. Over the last 5 years, however, we've started to get a little bit more concerned. The tree has grown to an enormous size. I'm not sure if you can see there, but this shed that's here is about 7 feet tall. The tree is huge, and with all of the winds that have been happening and the sort of the crazy weather, I can't even describe what it looks like when the branches are swaying. It's a little terrifying. So winds have been terrible, and what we've been seeing is a ton of branches are falling off the tree, both in our yard but also into our neighbors' yards. Quite big branches. In addition, with all the winds, we are seeing other neighbors with ailanthus trees. Huge branches are coming down and causing a lot of damage. And these are trees that are much, much smaller than ours, taking out fences, damaging cars. And so we're just generally incredibly concerned. There's a lot of kids, we have children, our neighbors have children, and just getting more and more concerned about the damage that might be caused by some of these branches coming down. The tree is probably over 50 feet tall now. It is an ailanthus, it's a weed tree, it grows incredibly quickly, and our concern is that they're very, very brittle. In a previous property that we owned, an entire branch just sheared right off the trunk of the tree. So we're not concerned about small branches, it's more that one of these larger branches could come down and cause a ton of damage. What we've tried to do is we've tried to work with the tree. So again, we've had arborists coming in. We've had multiple arborists come. They've mentioned this is the largest ailanthus they've ever seen. And while they're pruning it, they can only prune so much without damaging the tree. So we feel that at the size that it is today, there's not a lot more that we can do to help us feel safer with the tree. So that's really why we've come here, is we want to be proactive. We don't want to come after some major damage has happened. We wanted to try and deal with it ahead of time. We've also planted a ton of trees in the garden, so trying to make sure that there's a canopy over time. Is there anything that I've missed?
You could speak to the trees that we planted, or how many trees we
Yeah, we've planted five large trees, several smaller trees, and a ton of shrubs in the garden. And as you'd seen before, there really was not much there. And this is just, one last picture, just to give you a sense of the scale of the tree. It really is huge. Our house is in the background there. Any questions?
I have one.
Yes.
because I have a similar tree in my backyard and it has
Yes.
similar issues. Have you considered removing some of the large branches?
This is where the arborists have told us that there's only so much they can take down without damaging the tree as a whole, just because there's, all the branches that are lower down are, I mean, they're probably this big in size, they're huge.
Their
Your-
concern,
The previous photo that you showed with the
Yeah.
large stumps.
Yeah.
I mean, for my tree, I actually had to remove one of them.
So taking down one of those large branches?
Yeah.
well, the concern is the canopy is so big, the arborist has said they can only remove about 25% without damaging the tree. And those, even though the limbs are quite large down below, they get very, very skinny up above with the size of the canopy. And so when it's a heavy wind, and you look at this tree versus compared to other trees, this tree just seems to move around almost aggressively in the crazy winds. So we're just trying to be proactive and not try to be ahead of an insurance claim or somebody getting hurt.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, as I mentioned, I think that I'm just going to defer this one round so I can have a much closer look at the arborist report versus what the city said. The tree appears to be in fair condition, but I've been out before. We don't have a poor condition. It's only 41 inches around with a lot of branches. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to defer that in order to do a little bit more of this work between now and April, please, and hope nothing happens.
Okay, we'll defer one round.
So do we have to come back for that, or do we have to meet you at your office to talk more about this, or what's?
No, I'll reach out, somehow we'll reach out, but the process next is it's going to come back. I'm not sure if you can speak again, but that's your decision.
You can choose to speak again at the next meeting if you like.
Okay.
And you could also call in. You don't have to be here in person. That's up to you.
Okay.
All righty. All those in favor for deferral for 1 month? Opposed? Carried.
I do not.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Next item is TE 20.22, refusal of a sidewalk cafe permit application located at 3020 Danforth Avenue, Thyra Avenue flankage. We have speakers on this item. Rafael Ism, item.
We have decided not to speak.
Okay. Okay. It's chosen not to speak, so Councilor Bradford, item 20.22.
Yep, thanks, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move a recommendation to approve the application.
Okay, all those, you want to show it up? There we go. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to our hold items. T 20.5, 7086 to Lynn Williams Street zoning bylaw amendment. We have speakers on this item. One speaker, actually. Terrence Joel, J-O-U. You online? Okay,
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
you can. 5 minutes, go ahead.
Good morning, Council. Thank you for the time to speak today. I wanted to talk about the development at 70 to 86 Lynn Williams Street, which is currently a proposal for a 44-story mixed tower. As a owner of a property in Liberty Village, as a person who also works in Liberty Village, I'm deeply concerned about this development. But I also wanted to reiterate my support for responsible development that aligns with Council's vision for affordable housing, vibrant public spaces, and sustainable communities. I wanted to go over the documentation that has been provided and submitted by the developer, because I feel that there are incorrect misrepresentations and omissions that needs to be addressed before Council goes ahead and approves this project. Some of those errors that I'm pointing to include the heritage impact assessment. The developer has claimed that the southern portion of the building is a historic warehouse, and that is the only part that is historically significant. However, in the Cultural Heritage Evaluation Report, it states that the entire building, both the north and south, are of historical significance. While the northern part has fallen into disrepair, it should not be justified as an opportunity to demolish that. And therefore, the full footprint of the building should be considered when looking at the available development space. The second point here is the excessive height and out of scale development. Right now, this is a 44-story proposal. It is much higher than any of the buildings in the vicinity. Currently, the proposal is at 143 meters high. It is about 20 stories higher than any of the developments currently in the area. With my first point, if the developer is able to utilize the full space of the development plot, there is that opportunity to look at how the height can be adjusted in order to keep within the number of units that they are proposing. And finally, the shadow study that is provided has data that is missing. Right now, the sun and shadow study only reflects a certain part of the year, March 21st to September 21st, omitting any of the winter months where shadows are the longest and can cast significant shadows across the different properties in the area. The council report also notes that Bill Johnson Park will only be in shadow for 2 hours in the afternoon, yet the developer claims that there is minimal shadow impact. A lot of the residents in the area utilize that park in the afternoon, so I'd like to challenge the developer's claim here. Also, in the shadow study, there is no pedestrian level shadow analysis. There is also a failure to identify which parts of the surrounding buildings that the shadows will be cast on, which impacts all of the residents in the surrounding buildings. One final note is about the traffic and infrastructure impact analysis. Right now, there is no traffic impact analysis in any of the documentation provided. There's also only 110 parking spaces, it seems, for this building, which contains 588 units, which feels like a low ratio and will likely cause overflow parking in the area. So I would request the following, that the council takes a look at the developer's proposal, conduct an independent heritage assessment, because right now the only assessment is from the developer, that they should look at a revised shadow study that includes the months that I have indicated that were missing before. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the deputants? Seeing none. No other speakers on this item. Deputy Mayor Malik.
Thank you very much, and I do have two motions on this item,
Okay.
and they're up on the screen right now. Thank you to the speaker, and thank you to all the incredible community members who have been engaged with me in my office and with the developer on this application. We know that Liberty Village is an incredible neighborhood, and we also know that some questionable planning decisions over many decades have led us to the unique challenges that we see as that neighborhood continues to grow. And one of those is a severe lack of public services and community amenities. And this application in front of us has been a challenging one for a number of reasons, some of which the last deputant shared around, how it fits into the neighborhood, the growth, the density, and there's a number of other pieces that that we have been working through. And city staff and the community and the developer have worked to be at the table to be in dialogue around those challenges. And I am glad to see that through that process, we have been able to secure affordable housing on site, as well as a nonprofit daycare that addresses the needs in the community that we have seen as persistent, and that our community needs assessment also demonstrate are so important to keep addressing. And I know that the community in Liberty Village, and I share their commitment for us to identify a space for a recreation center, a library, a school, what the community amenities that we know create complete neighborhoods and complete communities where we can imagine a future, and to support the growth that is continuing to happen in that neighborhood, and especially as new transit comes online as well in the next decade, and to make this a neighborhood where everyone can belong. And I know that the community is in this work and in that commitment together, and we can agree that we have to make better choices for the future, and there is an opportunity in front of us to course correct on that. And while it's very challenging to secure these much needed amenities on any one site in particular, we know that through the restrictions that the provincial government has placed around community benefits, around our capability as a city to access, how we see that principle of growth paying for growth. But what we do see in the motions that I have put up, and also in what we have coming forward in the Liberty Village regeneration study that we're calling Liberty for All, is that we are able to move this critical work forward, making sure that any developer that is looking to build in Liberty Village is contributing its fair share to the project and responding to the community needs that we have so very clearly identified. I'm glad that Liberty for All and this regeneration study is live, and you can start to see how we are embarking on this work at toronto.ca/Liberty for All. We are engaging in public consultations as early as next month to be able to respond to and create a path forward on how we ensure that Liberty Village, as it grows in the future, is one where we see a complete community in a way that we can all be really proud of. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Carried. As amended, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next item is Councilor Sachs, are you ready for 20.6?
Sorry, just a second. Oh, yeah, there it is, just something. I got it there, just give me a second. So, yeah, it could give me a few minutes to just, a couple minutes to get this ready.
Okay, let me just, okay. T 20.11, 40 to 62 Spadina Avenue and 378 Wellington Street West, official plan and zoning amendment, bylaw amendment application. Deputy Mayor Malik? For 11.
Yes. I have a motion on this item. It is just looking to delete one of the recommendations.
Okay, all those in favor?
Thank you.
Opposed? Carried. As amended, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Yeah, just going through it. T 20.32, Ontario Honda Dealers Indy Toronto Race 2025, temporary street closures. Deputy Mayor Malik.
Yes, thank you. I have a motion here on this item as well.
Yep. There it is on the screen.
Yeah, this motion is just to ensure that as we plan for these significant annual events, that the planning for that is in alignment with the Liberty Village Traffic Action Plan to mitigate the impact and inconvenience on the neighborhood.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. As amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
This is on the Indy closures?
Yeah.
I'm fine with the amendment, but I would like to go to
We've already recorded vote and item is amended.
All those in favor in adopting the item as amended? Councillor Moyes, Deputy Mayor Malik, Councillor Bravo, Councillor Fletcher, Councillor Matlow. All those opposed? Councillor Sachs. The motion to adopt the item as amended carries. Just 1 second, I can't. 1 second,
Okay. Do we have an ETA for Councillor Perks? I'm just trying to get a.
I had the new item, 52, we could deal with.
Okay, we're going to do item number 52. The clerk's is going to put up on the screen. 1 moment. So this is this is for item T 20.52, 29 to 31 Prince Arthur Avenue construction staging area. Councillor Sachs.
I move the staff recommendations.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Yeah. 45.
Okay, so we want to have new business for Councillor Fletcher.
Sorry, let's do item 45.
No, we have 2 new business items for Councillor Fletcher that have to be added.
Okay.
We could do those now.
Okay. All right, put it on screen. Council, I'm going to move these 2 items to be added on the agenda. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Wonderful.
Please.
Okay, proposed naming of the public lane north of Gerrard Street East and east of Greenwood Avenue. I'm going to add this item. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, Councillor Perks is here. He's been doing double duty today. Thank you for your service. We can do number 45, right? T 20.45 East Bayfront Community Recreation Center naming. Deputy Mayor Malik.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter. The East Bayfront Community Center is a new 25,000 square foot facility scheduled to open in the East Waterfront in spring of this year, 2025. And it's part of the community infrastructure plan for this area as we continue to revitalize our waterfront. And it has a name for now, East Bayfront Community Recreation Center. And we want to continue to move forward with the precedent that has been set in the development of the East Waterfront around a formal naming process, and to have that placeholder name until that is complete. And given the waterfront's significance and history culturally and in its ongoing growth, to work with treaty partners and Indigenous communities, the city can use the opportunity of naming this piece of community infrastructure and this really important community amenity to further our work to advance truth and justice and reconciliation and Indigenous placekeeping.
Thank you. Is a motion? Oh, adopt recreation. Okay, adopts rec. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. T 20.6, 250 Dundas Street West, official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application. There's a motion by Councilor Sachs.
There's two speakers on that.
Oh, sorry, there's two speakers on this item. Mike Ward, are you here? Okay, 5 minutes.
I'm here on behalf of 250 plus residents that reside in 488 University Avenue, which is directly adjacent east to the proposed building. Our building is 55 stories high. Firstly, we all live downtown. We accept and support this development, and we're not naive to the notion that living downtown in a high-density environment means just that. We do, however, have serious concerns about the speed with which this is being processed through and the amendments themselves. It's our belief that intelligent and thoughtful planning can come out of this, and the developer can have a development that suits them from a profit standpoint, and we can have more affordable housing in this house, and we can, in fact, have good livability for residents of both of these buildings. Firstly, it's alarming for us, the lack of notice that has been given on this. It's our understanding that statutory public notice requirements under the Planning Act have not been met. I was on the Zoom meeting regarding this development recently. We were all informed that the notice would be given for this meeting. It was not. Nobody in the building, or to our understanding within 120-meter proximity of this development, received notices via mail. Public signs on the proposed site were amended 10 days ago. It's our understanding they were to be done at minimum of 20 days ago. There was no listing on the City of Toronto's Application Information Centre, and nothing done in newspapers. I'm not sure if that's a legal requirement anymore. This has limited our intelligent participation in discussing this with the council and developers. Our intention as residents of 488 University is to hire counsel and impact experts to look at this data and get back to everybody with some educated feedback. And we need time to do this, and we feel we've been denied in this. Regarding the scale and build form of 250 Dundas West, their current 57-story proposal is a significant departure from their previously 2018 approved 49-story building. The new design lacks terracing and setbacks. The building has been designed to be directly on the southeast corner of Simcoe and Dundas, and 488 University resides on the southwest corner. They are mirrored within proximity according this amendment. It's our understanding, in fact, that this amendment is essentially just a knee-jerk reaction to COVID market conditions where I think it had the original proposal had 8 or 9 stories of commercial, and in response to the market conditions, they don't want the commercial anymore, so they've simply slapped on residential on top without considerable, or in fact any intelligent amendments done to the design with regards to that change. Regarding infrastructure and parking deficiencies, this new proposal allows for 10 parking spaces with only 4 dedicated for residents in a 719-unit development. That's 4 parking spots for 719 units. In addition, the critical infrastructure, water, sewage, power grids, we believe is already being taxed. We'd like an opportunity to hire independent experts to see exactly just how much it is being taxed and get back to the developer and council with further knowledge of this. To close, we just don't believe the proposal reflects responsible planning, and it certainly has not given us the proper time to get back with any intelligent feedback. We believe that lack of notice alone is appropriate for some deferral in this matter to allow us time to proceed. Just to be succinct, we are not here to exacerbate the process with the development. We're here to work with them. To be very clear, the 2018 proposal, which has already been passed, is near fantastic. We simply want a considerable setback on the lot. It's a very wide lot, and for whatever reason, it's butted right up to the east. So we believe something closer to that 2018 proposal with step back would be more than adequate. Thanks all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions for Deputy? Seeing none, thank you. Next up is Mark Richardson, online. Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
No, we can't.
Check 1, check 2.
A little louder.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, we can. 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Councilors, as you know, my name is Mark Richardson. I'm a volunteer with Housing Now TO. Our Housing Now TO volunteers have been tracking the affordable housing development here at the 250 Dundas Street West site for over half a decade. We were also involved in conversations about that 488 University building that you were just speaking about. And honestly, there were people who were protesting against that building when it was built. So it's kind of interesting now that the people who live in that building are now protesting against this newer building. We want to fully support this 57-story proposal as presented to you today. In particular, we would like to draw attention to the approved affordable rental housing outcomes that are now being delivered near St. Patrick's Station at Dundas and University. As described in the staff report and the affordable housing terms of reference, which are attached to the staff report in Appendix 7, you've done a much better job of delivering affordable rental housing on this site now. So this is your current count. The old Section 37 deal from 2020 was for 26 affordable rental apartments. At that time, it consisted of 19 one-bedroom and 6 two-bedroom units for 31 affordable rental bedrooms. That has now been reshuffled to align better with the City of Toronto's preference for more larger family-sized units. It is now 19 affordable rental apartments consisting of 4 studios, 8 one-bedrooms, 4 two-bedrooms, 3 three-bedrooms for 29 affordable bedrooms that come out of that old Section 37 deal from the year 2000. Now, on top of that, we are adding in, through greater height, density, a relaxed tower floor plate, reduced setback, and the reduction in office replacement requirement. The developers are providing the city with another 15 additional affordable rental apartments, which consists of 2 studio units, 6 one-bedroom units, 4 2-bedroom units, and 3 3-bedroom units for 25 net new affordable bedrooms being added to the old Section 37 deal. So the chart that I'm showing now is your total of the affordable deals now that are combined together. You have 6 studios, you have 14 one-bedrooms, you have 8 2-bedrooms, and 6 3-bedrooms for a total of 34 units for a total of 54 affordable bedrooms. This is about a 5% GFA deal with a total of 54 affordable bedrooms, and they all appear to be under a 99-year affordability deal. It is also our understanding that if the federal government agreements come to the table as well, that percentage of affordability will only increase with this developer. This is a really solid deal. We would encourage the City of Toronto and city councillors and city planners to use this affordable rental agreement at 250 Dundas Street West as a repeatable template for future employment office conversions to residential apartment agreements, and to transparently share these terms and conditions of these individual agreements as both standalone PDF reports in TMIS, and this one's really important, as trackable, standardized open data on the City of Toronto's open data portal. We had to kludge this data together from the different agreements. The average citizen, the average residents association isn't going to have the ability to do that. So we have to make this information as easy to consume as the chart that you see in front of you today. We would also encourage city councillors to enable and encourage these kinds of redevelopments in their wards, particularly to facilitate the creation of net new affordable housing units within these larger market rate developments inside protected major transit station areas like the one around St. Patrick's Station. As always, our open data and Cimitech volunteers are happy to answer any questions that councillors or city staff may have on affordable housing development best practices and how to make the most effective use of transit-oriented lands to alleviate Toronto's rental housing crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for deputants?
Yeah.
Councillor Sachs.
Mark, thank you as always. To summarize, what is your view? Does this comply with current best practices for affordable housing?
It does. It's an excellent deal. You've got a good established development partner in Dream working on the site. You're inside a PMTSA. This checks all the boxes, and it's a 99-year affordable deal, and the deal is only going to get better if the federal government comes to the table, and the clock is ticking on the federal government. So you need to move fast on this approval so they can hopefully move fast on the federal funding.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Sachs.
Yes, so questions for staff, please. First of all, on the question of notice, I know I have been contacted both by email and, as we've heard this morning, with concerns about whether adequate notice was provided to the residents, and particularly the building next door, which is going to lose its current view. Can you tell us, was proper statutory notice given, and in what way? Somebody?
This is Jennifer Forks from the clerk's office. Yes. City clerk gave planning notice of the public meeting in accordance with the regulations. So that is a publication in the Toronto Star on January 28th, as well as mail out to the interested persons. We have prescribed bodies, as well as resident ratepayers associations on that list.
Okay, so you're satisfied that all necessary statutory notice was given?
Correct.
Including in the newspaper?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Now, we heard a number of comments, we've heard many comments from the people at 488 Dundas, University, about the impact on their view. Can you comment, why are you recommending this new building if it blocks the view of the building next door?
Through the chair, as the official plan does not protect for individual views, that is something we were not able to achieve on this site.
Okay, so you're saying that's not a permissible ground for turning down the development?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what about the setback? The building that was approved in 2018 had a setback at the east boundary, I understand, of 3 meters. And in this proposal, it's reduced to 2.5 meters. Why did you accept a reduction in that setback?
So staff are satisfied with this current proposal as it improves on the previous proposal. The previous proposal was built to the property line, and then a 3-meter step back was introduced. For this proposal, the building is set back 3.5 to 4 meters, and that provides a maximum setback of 6.4 meters. So overall, we are improving the public realm condition in comparison to.
Now, don't we have a city rule that there's supposed to be 25 meters of spacing between towers?
Through the chair, the tall building guidelines recommend 25 meters between towers. However, there is the tall building separation policies within the downtown area that speak to how buildings should relate to each other and ensuring proper separation between buildings. They do not specifically state 25 meters. In this case, the separation between the buildings was determined to be acceptable, and the building is appropriately set back from the Simcoe Street lot line, providing the appropriate space at grade and tower step back that we're accepting of, and appropriate tower setbacks to the north as well. So staff are accepting of the proposed massing.
Can you tell us a little more, why is this acceptable? We have this 25-meter guideline. It doesn't comply with the 25 meters. Why is it okay?
In this case, the staff were able to look at the massing and determine that it was acceptable. We generally aim to have appropriate setbacks between buildings and future development, and staff determined that there's an acceptable setback or a separation distance between the existing tower to the east and the proposed building at 522 or 250 Dundas.
I'm not sure I got an answer to my question. Let's see if I have time to come back to it. We've also heard concerns about whether there's adequate servicing. Is there adequate servicing to support yet another large building in this very crowded part of downtown?
Through the chair, yes, there is adequate servicing.
Okay. Let's try one more time on the separation. You've told me 3 times that staff are accepting the proposal, but please tell us why. Why is it acceptable?
The property has a 10-meter setback to the north property line, and I'm just trying to get the exact measurement to the center line of Simcoe Street, but 11.75 meters to the center line of Simcoe Street. And that's in line with what we've been accepting on other sites and is deemed acceptable to staff.
All right, and how does that compare to what the OLT has been approving?
That's, staff can't really answer that question. In terms of what staff have approved or recommended approval on other development sites, this is in line with what staff have determined is acceptable.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Sachs.
I have a motion. Listen, I understand the concerns of the people next door. It has been, we've had a big change in how quickly developments move because of Bill 109 and the provincial government. We're now making decisions in weeks that used to take years, and they've done that deliberately. They've forced us to telescope everything that we do, which means a rush for staff, a rush for me, a terrible rush for community members, and they've done that on purpose. They want to see these developments approved quickly, even though we then can't require them to build quickly. We know that. So I absolutely acknowledge that it's rushed, and everyone in your position feels rushed, and we all do, and the province is forcing us to do it. In terms of the loss of your view, I mean, I do understand what a big loss that is. That changes your life. It changes the value of your investment, changes your experience every morning. Whether, you get up, whether you have sun on your face when you get up or when you have your coffee or you don't. But I hope you've heard staff say, we can't turn down buildings because they block a view of another building. That's not an acceptable reason under the provincial regime and the Ontario Land Tribunal, which is stuffed with pro-development people. So we have to look for, do we have compliance with city policies? Do we have compliance with the official plan? Do we have the servicing capacity? And staff have told us again today that they do. That gives us not a lot of room to move. So It is very good news, and as you've heard from Mark Richardson, the affordable housing provision in this building is a heck of a lot better than we get in most other buildings. It's, you heard him say it's best practices. I've been trying to get affordable housing in many buildings. I haven't had any with as much affordable housing as this, and we all know how desperately that is needed. There's also an absolutely desperate need for park space downtown. Sorry, I was supposed to say first what my motion was. I have my usual motion to try to get this to be the most sustainable building that we can achieve. We can't force it at this stage. We can simply ask staff and the applicant to work on it, and so that's what I always do and what I'm doing here as well. But in terms of the concerns that you've raised, I just want to make sure you know we've spent a lot of time talking about them. We spent a lot of time looking at to see, are there any other options to get the park that is badly needed? I have one of the most park deficient wards in the city, except for the Rosedale section. We have, and as we add so many thousand more people, the desperate lack of green space is really making a difference. And we've seen since COVID that, you know, more than half of the people in this ward don't have private outdoor space and rely on the parks. And so we need good parks. This is the largest park we've been offered downtown, at least in my ward. And so it will make a difference having a space. It isn't the same as having the view that you have now, but I just want you to know that we've looked really carefully at what you've said, recognizing the rush. We understand, and within the limits of our ability, we're doing the best we can to improve the neighborhood and the community. The other thing that you commented on is about parking. We know that most of the buildings that are coming in my ward these days are proposing little or no parking. And so if anybody wants to live in that building with a car, they're going to have a hell of a time. There's only 4 spots provided, and I presume that the company will be charging a lot of money for those spots because they're scarce. There's no on-street parking. This building will not be eligible for permit parking. And I guess I need to make sure that we've dealt with that already, but it won't, this building will not be eligible for permit parking. They won't be able to park on the street. So if they can't park in the building, get one of those 4 spots, they're gonna have to pay for private parking or not have a car. That's a change in culture for a lot of people, but it's also essential. We just don't have any road space for lots more people to have cars downtown. We're never gonna have more road space. We're probably going to have less road space because we have to widen sidewalks to accommodate all the humans. We have to give more priority for transit, so transit can get through. So there's going to be less and less road space for cars. Providing a lot of parking for cars just cuts against that. So we're doing the best we can to take into account what you've said. I'm sorry we can't give you what you were hoping for, but I just want you to make sure you've been heard, you've been listened to, despite the rush that the province has forced down our throat. Sorry, not at this point, but I'll be glad to talk to you later. So
Time, Councilor Sachs.
yeah, so the motion, anyway, it's the motion, again, asking our planning staff in the site plan process to do the best they can to have a sustainable building. And I understand from Dream as well, they keep telling me how sustainable they are, that this is going to be a long-term rental building, and therefore they're going to be looking at making it as sustainable as is economically feasible, and I'm going to be looking for that.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed, carried as amended. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. Next item is T 20.19, 86 Merrick Street, application to remove a private tree. We have 2 speakers on this item. Stephanie Paquette, are you here?
Yes, we are here.
Okay, 5 minutes, go ahead.
Great, thank you.
Sure. We're just going to share a couple pictures if we can.
So good morning, councillors. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present our case. We're here today to respectfully request approval to remove a large horse chestnut tree in our backyard due to safety concerns. So when we purchased our home, one of the major attractions with the tree itself, as you can see here, can you see our screen?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Wonderful. So its privacy and the shade it provides is wonderful. We love the tree, but unfortunately, over the last couple of years, the horse chestnuts have grown to size that now poses significant risk. So our intention is not to remove the tree casually, but to ensure the safety of our family and our neighbors and our property.
I know.
So the trees grow in these very large chestnuts that are now over 3 inches in diameter, as you can see from the pictures, and they weigh a considerable amount. And when these chestnuts fall, at times from up to 20 to 30 feet, they come down with a high velocity. We've been fortunate so far that no one has been hit, but the risk is very real, especially as the tree sheds its chestnuts over a 4-week period during the summer. We've already had damage to our patio furniture, and while we've added pergola for some coverage, it doesn't extend to our entire yard. And for weeks each summer, our backyard becomes essentially unusable, and we're unable to let our children play outside in the space that is meant for enjoyment. I would like to emphasize how difficult it is to explain to our 2 small children that they can't use their own backyard because of the danger. This is not just an inconvenience, but a real safety issue. And our neighbors who also have young children are affected as well, as the tree overhangs their property. As both of us work in the medical field, we've seen firsthand how severe head injuries can be, not just in children, but also in adults. The potential for injury from a falling chestnut of this size is a very real concern, and we can't ignore that risk that it poses to anyone in the area. So our goal is to maintain the spirit of the original intent of having trees on our property. We intend to replant at minimum 1, if not more. The replacement trees will provide similar benefits of privacy and shade, and we are committed to ensuring the space remains green and welcoming. We understand the importance of trees in our community and want to work with the city to ensure that we continue to contribute to Toronto's urban canopy. So we hope that you can appreciate that our request is driven by genuine safety concerns for our family and our neighbors, and we wish to preserve the benefits that our tree provided in a safer and more responsible way. And so we ask for the city's understanding, particularly given the risk involved, and we thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Any questions for deputies?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
We just want to show these pictures, and this is not the exception. We are getting a lot of chestnuts this size, and what you can't also see on there, they are remarkably spiky. That is obviously less of a concern, but they do draw blood. We have poked ourselves and our children, who are now 4 and 1, like to play with these things, so that's a separate concern. But this is the real size of them and what we're seeing regularly. Thank you all for listening. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Are you Joshua?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, no questions for the deputants. Thank you. Councillor Perks.
Yeah, to speak. First of all, I'm going to be moving the staff recommendations, which is to deny the permit to remove. We have, over the years, many times considered the question of trees that drop fruits, drop leaves, drop nuts. We've investigated it thoroughly and come to the conclusion that the City of Toronto does not accept falling leaves, fruits, and nuts as a reason to remove a tree. This is well established in our bylaw. It's our constant practice here. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to support the staff recommendation to deny the removal of the permit. The tree is healthy and maintainable and contributes to many public benefits in the City of Toronto.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next item is TE 20.41, additional speed hump on Willard Avenue. Councillor Perks.
Yeah, I'll move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 20.42, additional speed hump on Windermere Avenue. Councillor Perks.
I'll move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 20.43, improving bike lanes inspections in Toronto and East York Community Council District. Councillor Perks, you can move that. Sorry, there is a speaker on that item. Allison Stewart. Okay, online.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. 5 minutes, go ahead.
Thank you. So one, I would just like to say that I recognize that the city is currently experiencing a once in a, 30-year event. The city has seen, 60 centimeters of snow, the biggest dump since 1999. So recognizing that it's hard to judge the city's progress in terms of how the city has been improving clearing bikeways and sidewalks of snow and other debris. That said, as somebody who came in on the GO train, used the TTC subway, a bus, and tried to use bike share, and was forced to walk, it is a very challenging time for people trying to get around. And I spent much of my time helping seniors and those using mobility devices carry and help them get to their transit stop. That said, the report before you holds some really promising and necessary foundational work that we're pleased to see the city work on. So, for example, with the fact that transportation services will be inheriting the street sweeping from the solid waste department represents a really good step forward. And the fact that they will be doing an analysis come the spring, and the fact that they have proactively purchased a few specialized machinery so that they will be able to clear the bikeways carefully. That's great. Also, in terms of the construction zone safety officers and the folks taking a proactive approach to monitoring the condition of the bikeways all year round by actually getting them on e-bikes so that they will not only get to experience exactly what people who bike experience on the day-to-day basis, will help really hopefully improve the ongoing proactive maintenance of the bikeways across the city. Really, it's really important that our bike lanes, regardless of type, whether it's a contraflow, whether it's a painted line, whether it's a cycle track, whether it's a multi-use trail, they all need to be really carefully maintained and free of debris to ensure that people have a safe and sustainable way to get around. It's really challenging when people are unable to bike safely. It deters people who have made that leap to adopt active modes of transportation. And for example, today on my travels, I heard 4 various people exclaim that they should have driven. So this work is really important. Cycle Toronto is really pleased to see all the progress that the city has been doing over the past few years, and would really just like to encourage the city to prioritize it and to find a way to even improve the connectivity of keeping the bike lanes clear, is also ensuring that the multi-use trails are included in that with the bikeways, because often the multi-use trails connect to various bikeways. And so if you are biking on a clear bike lane only to then be diverted to a multi-use trail that hasn't been cleared at all, it becomes quite dangerous. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Allison. Councillor Sachs has a question for you.
I have questions too.
Thank you very much, Allison. I've certainly had this same experience. We had 6 deaths last year of cyclists, and 3 of them in my ward. One of them was on Bayview Avenue. That's one of the locations you're referring to, correct?
That is a great example, yes.
So that's an area where the cycling track is partly on the side of the road and has been cleared by transportation, and partly has been a few meters from the road and wasn't cleared at all, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what kind, it's nice to have a report that they're going to give us a report. Are there any specific changes that you're asking for?
Well, really, we would like to ensure that that all of regardless of the type of bike lane, whether it's a painted line, whether it's a contraflow, bidirectional, a cycle track, or a multi-use trail, that they are all interconnected and part of this process changes that will be taking place in 2025. Understanding that Parks and Recreation likely currently maintain the multi-use trails, but perhaps there's a way of Transportation Services and Parks and Rec discussing how the maintenance of the multi-use trails could be put within Transportation Services, recognizing that increasingly multi-use trails are really important bikeways that are used to get around.
Okay.
I mean, for example, people commuting to and from Etobicoke and Toronto Centre rely on the Martin Goodman Trail. That is busy throughout the year. So keeping that free and clear is as important, for example, as keeping Adelaide, Sherbourne, Richmond, and Bloor Street, because those are important cycling corridors.
All right. But do you agree with me there's been a huge amount of improvement in the last 2 years in terms of the maintenance of bike lanes? So real progress.
Absolutely, and really to be clear, with the exception of this unusual weather event that we've experienced over the past week, this winter, the city did an exceptionally good job of keeping the bike lanes clear.
Okay.
And we saw that actually in the numbers, and Bike Share had a banner January in terms of their ridership.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Sachs.
Councillor Fletcher.
Yes? Thank you. I was just being bad. Councillor Matlow is a very bad influence on me. I just want to let you all know that. You might have to. This is a question for Ms. Stewart. Is she there?
She is. She's waiting for you to
I don't
respond.
see her up there, just see the timer.
I am. You muted
thank
me.
You. I did put, I put a letter in today to go with all the ones that have come in, including yours from Cycle Toronto, but it's got a chart, and it's the 311 call chart, because I think watching what's happening in 311 really lets us know what's going on. And I'm noting that there's about 1,000 calls a year or communications a year to 311 on various things. And I'm wondering if you encourage your members at Cycle Toronto to always record or log on to 311 so that we actually do have a very clear record of what's happening and where.
Absolutely. In fact, we will be, in part because of this item and the improvements that have been made to 311 over the past 2 years and that have been recently announced in terms of that internal dashboard reporting, we will be adding a special call out in our upcoming Ring and Post and followed up through socials to encourage people to use the 311 app or call it in, just to make sure that people are logging those complaints, and also because the city has made such great improvements to making it easier for people biking to report the issues that they face on the daily.
Yeah, so that's just, I think it's, for us, one of the most critical ways that we can understand what's happening is through 311. You're probably aware that Parks operations and maintenance is not on 311 at this point. We've been talking about that for a while. So the improvements around cycling are really important. So far in the year, and I don't know how it compares year over year, I've got 23 and 24 and 25. If you are to do that call out more than once, I would assume, just regularly, we may find there's more, and be able to track regularly how many pothole calls there are. Because there's only, it was 126 in 2024. You'd probably agree with me that there were more than 126 potholes in the cycle lanes, correct? You probably covered 126 yourself when you were going in a cycle track.
Yes, you experienced everything. One of the things that the report also outlined, and it's interesting to know that 3,000 bollards were replaced. That said, Councillor Fletcher, we will be encouraging people to use 311. That said, we are really pleased that the city is going to be doing more proactive monitoring of the bike lanes, because it is worth noting that, even though there is a 311 app and there have been improvements made to being able to report the issues faced, when you're trying to get somewhere, it still takes up to 10 minutes to make sure that you're tracking that report. So it is just something to be mindful of.
Now, these positions, have you had any conversations that they're people that are familiar with cycling, that they enjoy cycling, that they're not afraid to cycle on Toronto roads? My experience, there's a lot of staff at the city that are nervous about cycling. So what would your advice be to make sure that any of the staff hired to travel these separated lanes are actually comfortable, happy, and really want to do that?
Well, Cycle Toronto, among the many things that we do offer workshops and webinars on how to bike safely in winter, and how everything you need to know about biking in Toronto, as a way of helping inform and educate.
Thank you. I'll ask staff how they plan to do that. I'll ask staff how they plan to do that hiring. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so any questions of staff?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I do.
Councillor Sachs, go ahead.
Yes, question for transportation. First of all, lots of good things in this report, and I appreciate it, but we've also seen, I was one of the people injured on Bayview this winter because that chunk of the Bayview Trail, multi-use trail, was not cleared at all by anybody. What are you doing to make sure that all of the cycle tracks are cleared in a timely manner in accordance with the city's policy?
Thank you, Councillor. As you know, clearing the bike lanes is a priority for transportation services, and we do upkeep the minimum maintenance standards. We have seen an unprecedented amount of snow this last week. So
I'm not talking about last week. I'm talking about January. And I'm talking about the whole network. This was a piece of the trail that transportation deliberately didn't clear, apparently assuming that Parks was going to do it, but Parks wasn't doing it. So what are you doing to make sure that the whole length of these trails are cleared, if you're not doing it, by somebody? What are you doing to hold that piece together?
I can take that location back. I'm not familiar with that location in particular. But I am sure that staff will follow up with Parks to ensure that all of Bayview and any other bike lane, everyone knows whose responsibility it is.
Okay, do you have a process? Until now, the responsibility for clearing bike infrastructure, cycle tracks, has been distributed in a fashion that hasn't worked. So Parks has done some, allegedly. Solid Waste has done some. Transportation has done some. They haven't been coordinated, and they haven't been done to the same standard. What are you doing to make sure that all of them are done, including the ones that you think someone else might be doing?
I'd have to take it back. We can get you an answer to that very, very soon.
All right, well, yes, please, because obviously we have policies, we've got contracts, we talk about the roads being safe and passable, 60% bare pavement, and then not being followed through by transportation for the whole length of these trails. The second thing is, you say in your report that you'll be back to IEC in Q2. Can you tell us what month? We want to make sure that the cycle tracks are properly maintained this summer?
That report will be coming forward in April of 2025.
To IEC?
IEC, exactly.
Okay. And it's going to propose the standard that we asked for?
That's right. It's going to be a very detailed report on all sweeping operations, and all of the information will be on there.
All right, and will it include attention to making sure that transportation has a clear responsibility for all the cycle tracks and is making sure they get done?
We will definitely make sure it includes that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask about the same thing that I asked to Ms. Stewart, that for the hiring, making sure, what are the provisions in your hiring to making sure that you have people that are comfortable with cycling? How are you going to do that? What's the plan for that? Because many people are nervous. They might think it looks interesting, but you have to be a good cyclist to ride around the city, including on e-bikes. So what's the hiring process for these new positions?
Through the chair, with regards to the transportation standards officers who will be going out on bikes, we actually have a few very avid cyclists on our staff who have offered and are very willing to go out on bikes and do this work. They have been going through training over the last few months just to ensure that they're aware of how to cycle safely in all weather conditions. And their bikes, we've been working with them closely to ensure that they have all the equipment on their bikes that they require to do their job safely. But we already do have these avid cyclers on staff, and they are very willing and very ready to get on the road on their bikes.
That's great. And then I guess one of the things that I often hear is the concern about the speed of delivery e-bikes in the bike lanes. And so I don't know if that's something that our staff, because nobody else has ever been in the cycle lanes except cyclists, no city staff. So is there any way that they're now going to be observing that phenomenon and be able to report back on any suggestions or any mitigation that might be required? I know they won't be going 40 kilometers. I'm pretty sure they won't be, right?
Yeah, through the chair. Actually, we do have some technology that we deployed through the congestion management plan that we could leverage to gather that sort of data and then basically come back in terms of the sort of measures to sort of make sure that we're sort of controlling that.
What are they?
Just in terms of speaking with staff, I think we'll have to get back to you with respect to that.
Is this is all right, but it would be helpful to know whether that's a briefing note, because there is a lot of concern about the speed that is being used by e-bike operators, particularly deliveries. So will these new staff be able to at least have an anecdotal approach, because they'll be out every day? How will they feed back into the city on this issue? Is there going to be something they can do, or is that outside of their purview?
Yeah, definitely. This is something that, I mean, it is out of their purview, but our staff are always willing to bring up any type of observation that they make on the road or any improvements that they see. So we can definitely mention this, and I'm sure staff would be very willing to do that.
Mr. Brown, how can we get how can we help you as counselors ensure that that's an observation that's being logged?
Through the chair.
Or another report? How would you like us to do that so it's now a bit more official? Because I'd like to know the answer.
Yeah, through the chair, as mentioned, the staff are really eager and willing with respect to this initiative. I don't think I think we can simply request of them to provide that sort of monitoring and feedback, and then we can bring back in terms of actions going forward.
So can we get something back from our staff that are on the ground about, let's say, we hear it's a problem. Is it a problem? What you might be recommending, how would you best suggest that? Is there going to be a further report here on this item or another time that you're looking at cycle tracks? Because I'd like to make sure that not just staff know about it, but us little counselors that are back in the building after COVID, we'd like to know about that too.
Yeah, through the chair, the way I envision it is a combination of leveraging the technology that we have that's already gathering that sort of data in combination with requesting staff to go out and monitor the situation. Once we have that data, then we'll formulate a bit of an action plan and then propose whether it's a report back in terms of for information purposes or if there's some sort of authority that we need. We'll come up with that strategy and we'll get back.
So you will be reporting back on that to this council or to IEC, or where would you be reporting to and when?
Again, once we have the data and we have a bit of a strategy, in all likelihood, it'll be something we'd report back through IEC.
When would you think about that?
Okay.
I just need a commitment for when that would come back, Chair. Let Mr. Brown think about that for a minute.
Yeah, through the chair, so the staff are going to be deployed during the spring in terms of doing these inspections and gathering that information. So following that, once we have the data, then we'll come back with a formulated plan in terms of next steps.
Okay, thank you.
When, where, when? That's the when.
Somewhere.
Do I need to move that motion to have your report in September? Pardon me? You're saying no? Can't tell them when? Well, they can report they haven't done it.
Through the chair, there are no current plans to report back. However, we can see if a report is required once we have the data. And if we believe that that's something that would assist us in moving forward with our plans, then we can definitely bring something back to council.
However, I would like a report. We would like a report, whether
You want to put a
think
motion forth, Councilor?
So I don't have it, but that's what I would like.
Okay.
If I can get some help from.
Going to council, is it going to be just, it stops here?
Because it's top topic.
You want to hold this down and put a motion forth, Councilor Fletcher?
I'm just not sure it's going to IEC, where maybe Gord, you could help me with that. Sorry, Chair. Just came up in that way.
Okay, I'm going to hold this item down while staff is preparing a brief motion. I'm going to now introduce a new item, Councilor Fletcher. The item is on the screen. Ensuring safety for the interior line construction, Ward 14. Moved by Councilor Fletcher. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Just tell me what it's going
The
to say.
next item is T
Oh, okay, perfect, thank
20.53, Metrolinx Ontario Line temporary traffic and parking and permit parking bylaw amendment on Dingwall Avenue. Any speakers on this item?
Just me.
Seeing none. Councilor Fletcher.
I just have to say that this is now a consequence of the determination to build a subway above ground on the GO line tracks, and all the spill out from that has been a school has to be moved, 25 homes are expropriated, TTC has to move, eventually move their route. It is a total dog's breakfast, but this is something that has to happen, so I'm moving those changes for parking for Dingwall and Carla. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next item is T 20.54, proposed naming of the public lane north of Gerard Street East and east of Greenwood Avenue. Any speakers on this item? Seeing none, Councilor Fletcher.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to speak for 1 second on this because the Leslieville Historical Society and East York Historical Society and Gerard East Community have been working for, wait till you hear it, 8 years to have this laneway named for Luella Price, who was an outstanding Black resident in East Toronto who founded the Eureka Club, and most of the women in the club were wives of railway porters, a predominantly Black sector of the workplace. She lived right there on Redwood. This is very complicated, and they got stuck in all of the new provisions and requirements around naming, which has 3 different divisions: city manager, economic development, engineering and construction. That itself is a dog's breakfast, and I intend to try to streamline that. We got a little carried away somehow during the pandemic, and we need to restore something that's easy. I'm moving this today to come back in April, but because she was an outstanding member of the Black community, including running a rooming house at one point with the Hubbard family living there, and I think we all know who they are, that I really wanted to have this moved today to honor the work that our community has undertaken to bring her name forward, and to also honor her during Black History Month. So that's here in front of you today, and I'm going to ask for a recorded vote on this one, Mr. Chair.
Okay, a recorded vote on item TE 20.54. I know Catherine's doing double duty right now, but okay, all those in favor?
Oh, sorry. Okay. All those in favor of the item? Councillor Moyes, Councillor Bravo, Deputy Mayor Malik, Councillor Fletcher, Councillor Matlow, Councillor Sachs, and Councillor Perks. That carries unanimously.
Thank you, colleagues.
Okay. You know, Catherine, I hope someone gives you a nice gift sometime soon, because today I've never seen you work so hard. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The next item is TE 20.55, ensuring safety for the Ontario Line construction, Ward 14. Any speakers on this item? Seeing none, Councillor Fletcher, go ahead.
Thank you, and I really do want to thank our clerks for their assistance today on these items that I know, Mr. Chair, came in a bit late. But this one is one, as I think everybody knows, that a woman was very severely injured when she was hit by a dump truck, a Metrolinx dump truck, carrying the spoils from many of the excavations that Metrolinx has for the Ontario line. It turns out that this truck was not in the prescribed haul route that Metrolinx was to use and that their contractors were to use. And so I feel it's very important that while we are not building the Ontario line, but since Metrolinx is using our roads, that we're very clear, and they're very clear about what haul routes they're using, what repercussions there are if they're not using it. I'd like the city manager to let us know what charges have been laid against Metrolinx, the driver, the dump truck, not the dump truck, but the haul company that's being used there, and to also tell Metrolinx in writing, ask the city manager to write to Metrolinx and be very clear about the expectation of the city. They're using all of our roads to build this, and there are just a lot of dangers, and there you go. So this is going, I believe, to council and asking the city manager to do these things, which he may or may not decide to do before council. But thank you very much for your support here today, and I'm going to ask for a recorded vote again.
Okay. Any questions of the mover? Seeing none, recorded vote, all in favor?
All those in favor of the item, Councillor Moyes, Councillor Bravo, Deputy Mayor Malik, Councillor Fletcher, Councillor Matlow.
Hello.
So,
Councillor Sachs, and Councillor Perks. All those in favor? All those in favor, thank you. That carries unanimously.
Okay, was it, so, okay, the last item is 43. There is a motion by Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Catherine.
Okay, so the motion is to report back. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, the bills. Thank you. My own. We could switch because I think that Bills 116 to 131 prepared for the February 20th, 2025 meeting, 20 of the Toronto and Eastern Community Council be declared by bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. That confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the Toronto and Eastern Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 20 on February 20th, 2025, be declared as a bylaw and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, staff. Thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon.